Hi guys, so the former chief negotiator for the European Union when it came to Brexit, Michel Barnier, has decided to run for French president next year. Now, of course, the issue of Brexit is something very close to Nigel Farage's heart, so he had to weigh in on this. But he also got the opinion of former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Arlene, who seems to be now on the payroll of GB News because reasons. Anyway, she had something to say about both Barnier and the idea of having an elected president. Anyway, let's hear what they had to say about Mr. Barnier's candidacy.
His name, of course, is Michel Barnier, the EU's Brexit negotiator for 4.5 years, a former French minister. And he's become the latest centre-right politician to publicly throw his hat into the ring for next year's presidential elections with a promise to reconcile what he called a divided nation. Michel Barnier is running for French presidency on, wait for it, an anti-immigration ticket.
Will you be campaigning for him,
And
Nigel?
he wants to restore the authority of the state. You couldn't make this stuff up.
Okay, the authority of the state and anti-immigration. I don't see how those two things are connected. But let's just take a step back here. Brexiteers don't seem to be able to separate the EU from individual member states. Now, Michel Barnier, chief negotiator for the European Union, I think he did a good job. I don't agree with his politics. If he's running for French president as a centre-right candidate, I don't agree with his politics. But when it came to negotiating with the UK, I think he did a good job. In the same way that Maroš Šefčovič, I don't agree with his politics, but as Vice President of the European Commission when it came to Northern Ireland, I think he's doing, or he has done, a very good job. I'm able to separate the person from the politics. Brexiteers aren't even able to separate countries from the European Union. Michel Barnier is no longer, well, he's planning to become French president. His politics are completely different to those of EU chief negotiator.
The state, I thought he wanted to abolish the states. I mean,
He wanted to abolish the state. What are you talking about? Where has he said that he wanted to abolish the states? I assume he's talking about member states. He wants no member states. He just wants one massive block where there's one president at the top and individual member states have no control over anything. But that's the type of rhetoric that Nigel Farage has been pushing over the last number of decades.
always wanted the Star-Spangled Banner, and he wanted us to stand rigid for the European anthem. And he told me in the coffee room that I was narrow-minded and anti-business.
I don't know about anti-business, but certainly narrow-minded makes sense.
Being against the free movement of people. And now he wants to run for French president. Well, I mean, look, I have to say, with me, he was always very polite. I mean, haughty, but always very polite. But somebody who I think may be even less of a fan of Michel Barnier, and who had many meetings with him, and why I refer to the poison pill that is in the Brexit deal, I have to go to the former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Arlene Foster. Arlene, what do you make of Monsieur Barnier's announcement?
Well, it's an incredible announcement. I mean, well, first of all, it depends what sort of characteristics you want from your president. You described him as haughty. I found him incredibly arrogant.
You are describing him as arrogant? This is the former leader of the DUP. This is the former First Minister of Northern Ireland, who's now working for GB News, who hasn't gone into retirement, hasn't gone away out of the embarrassment of her supporting Brexit. She's responsible for the protocol, in a sense. She supported Brexit. She campaigned for Brexit. She still thinks Brexit is a good idea. And she's talking about how Michel Barnier is arrogant.
And incredibly egotistical. And I have to say, chauvinistic. And I know that sometimes French gentlemen can be quite like that. I don't mean to generalise.
So French gentlemen can be like that. I don't mean to generalise. But you've just generalised.
that respect, but he was an incredible man. And then you take his politics, of course, and you've already referred to his volte-face about open borders, which he used to let.
Once we get into this discussion here about open borders, now where has Michel Barnier said where he's for open borders? If you're talking about freedom of movement, there's a difference between freedom of movement and open borders.
Lecture us all on and the need to have freedom of movement, and now apparently that doesn't apply in France. It's absolutely incredible. But, you know, fair play to him, it's a democracy. If people want to have Michel Barnier as president, of course, that is a matter entirely for them. I'm just glad that we live in a monarchy, is all I can say.
You're glad you don't have the choice of president. You're glad you're not allowed to elect the head of state. So if you have a problem with the Queen or the King, you're happy that you don't have the choice to get rid of them. Okay.
Well, you're right, of course, because the French president has simply the most amazing powers. I mean, a French president is rather like a medieval king was in our country.
That's a very strange comparison to make. I was expecting him to say the French president is like the US president, but I'm pretty sure he didn't want to go down that road because that would have convinced Brexiteers that, well, really? It's like the US president? That's really cool. We admire the US president. So we'd love to have something like that. And that would, of course, be not a good line to go if you're pro-monarchy. But the idea of saying that he's like a medieval king makes no sense, because medieval kings were not elected. You didn't vote for kings. Now, maybe someone can refer to Monty Python here, of course, but generally you don't vote for kings, okay, or lords or barons, okay? These people are not elected. If Michel Barnier is running for president, I think on an anti-immigration ticket, it seems in an effect a means to thwart some of the support that's going in the direction of Le Pen, for example. This is a common tactic used by the French centre-right and the centre-left. They, in a sense, try to siphon votes away from the far right by running on a ticket that's similar to the far right, and then getting into power and not actually implementing those policies, trying to water down the far right's vote, because there is a real risk that someone like Le Pen could get in. So what the centre right do is they present similar policies. Whether they're going to implement them or not, I don't know, but it is a common tactic that they have used, and they have used it in the past. Nigel Farage doesn't have the capacity, it seems, to separate the EU from member states, and neither does Arlene, it seems. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?